Welcome to the V3 show. On this week's episode, we'll be taking a look at the new Barbatos. I got a couple Lego things, and then of course, your comments and questions as always. But first, we gotta talk about the show's name. Last week, I said that I needed a name, and I've narrowed it down to 3, and thanks to your guys' help in the comments, I've picked out either A, Off the Shelf, or On the Shelf, whatever sounds better, The V3 Show, or TV3. So do me a favor and pick your favorite by voting in the card just at the top corner of this video. Also, other thing to note is last time I said that this show would be bi-weekly, and by that I meant every 2 weeks, but I understand that there's also the definition in which it could be twice a week. So to clear up some confusion, I meant every 2 weeks, but as this episode has proven, I think I'm actually just going to go weekly, and we're going to try out this format weekly because I was surprised by the response and the amount of people who really enjoyed it, and I figured I would give you guys more of that, so let's go ahead with that. So first up, a bit of Transformers news. Over at the website Hasbro Pulse, I believe this is Hasbro's in-house blog forum for their toys and products, they revealed a brand new masterpiece Bumblebee, but this is the Bumblebee from the movie series. It's, I believe, the original Bumblebee that appeared in the first Transformers movie, which was about 10 years ago now, and back then it was the Chevrolet Camaro concept. I really liked this car when it came out. I really liked the idea of this Bumblebee, and I remember first seeing it on the screen. I was super excited by it, and a masterpiece level of this toy seems super interesting, except for the fact that I have bought so many movie Bumblebees that not even a masterpiece level one can really sway me at this point. I think that it looks good for what it is. Something that I sort of wish is that instead of using the new modern Camaro, I kind of wish they released this one under the original body that Bumblebee takes on. I believe that is the older late 70s Camaro, just because I thought that was a much more interesting looking car, and it was a bit rusted, faded paint. I think that would have been real interesting to see, or I would have definitely been more tempted by that, because we always get the new Camaro Bumblebee, and I believe there was only the one release of the old Camaro Bumblebee from the first movie line, and it's definitely not the more popular choice, and I understand why they went with the Camaro concept. That is generally, Bumblebee's modern look, and I suppose if you were to make one masterpiece figure of it, that's the one to go for. It's also interesting in that it sets a precedent of, will we see more movie-style masterpiece Transformers? There's not really any other characters I would want besides Bumblebee, Optimus, maybe Megatron, but even then I don't think I would want them. I wouldn't be too interested, so we'll see how this goes. I believe it's retailing for $79.99 and releases in the summer. Look forward to it. Next up is a bunch of Gundam news. A lot of Gundam news hit. First one I'm going to talk about is a release that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the high-grade Build Fighters Super Fumina Axis Angel version, being released in March 2017. This is a heavy rework of the Super Fumina mold. It's got angel wings, and it essentially makes her look like an angelic doctor, which is super strange. I know a lot of people are cringing at their screens right now. I'm all into this. But the thing that I like about this, or the thing that intrigues me about it, is I wonder how well it would make for a custom of the character Mercy from Overwatch. Who knows? Might not work. It may work, but it's something that I definitely am going to pick up, and maybe even get 2 of them. Who knows? I like it. Then we go on to all the Gundam news that was revealed at a Gunpla show over in Nagoya. And here they showed off a lot of the Iron-Blooded Orphans upcoming kits, and we got some interesting reveals. First up, we now know what colors the Gundam Bale is going to be in, and it is white and blue with yellow or gold highlights. And I believe this is the suit that will go to McGillis. I think the colors are awesome. If you remember, the previous McGillis suit was the Grimgear that was red. I painted mine white and blue because I thought those were the proper colors for a Valkyrie. Not saying anything, but hey, maybe Bandai looked at my video and thought those are cool colors and that's why we did it. So yeah, I'm just gonna stroke my ego there a bit. And then they showed off the Reagan Lays, Julia's Reagan Lays, and it essentially looks like this season's version of the Grey's Ein. So it's this giant version of a Reagan Lays. Looks neat. It's very pointy. It's cool. The most important thing that was revealed at this show, however, was we now know what the final Barbatos form looks like, and it is called the Barbatos Lupus Rex. It's a silly name, and I love it, and, you know, I really wanted something that looked a bit more feral, a bit more beast-like, and it totally delivers. It's got golden claws on the hands and feet. It's got these ridiculously huge forearms. It even has the tail from the mobile armor. I believe it was Hashmal or whatever. I think it looks really cool. I wasn't initially sold on the idea or the look of it when I first saw the line art, especially the shoulders, just because they were blue. But I've looked over it now. I've had a couple about a day to process it, and I really do like it because I basically like how the color's been laid out. He only has blue generally across the shoulder through the chest. That's the only place you'll find the blue, whereas the red highlights come down through the center of the body, you know, the chin, the center of the chest, top of the waist, and then on the soles of the feet. And I think it's a really nice way they've balanced out the color placement. The one thing I don't like about this redesign is the way they've done the V-fin. I like the original just huge boomerang thing with a gem in the middle. This one, it seems they've gotten rid of the gem in the middle, and they've added 2 extra fins that protrude from the center. It's something that you would see generally on, I suppose, the final form upgrade of Gundams. I mean, we see it when Exia turned into 00, you see it when, you know what I'm talking about. They've got like the extra little fins that come up through the center, and it looks cool on some kits or on some Gundams. I don't really think it really works that well here. And then the final thing about the design that I thought, you know, most people probably won't care about, but for me it means a lot, is the backpack. They actually redesigned the backpack, so it's, you know, the Barbatos has carried this really strange looking pentagon looking backpack that had sub-arms in it. This time they changed it around, and now it seems like he has tiny little intakes that come up just above his shoulders, or his neck piece, and I think that's a really cool just design touch. One thing I will say, going from the original Barbatos to where we are now, they have not changed the rear of the knee. It still is that same design, and I thought this would have been an opportunity for them to switch it up. They didn't. It's remained the same, and that's a bit disappointing because I've always felt like that was one of the things that I would definitely have remodeled on it, but hey, cool enough. I can't wait to see it in motion, in animation. I think it could be very promising, and so far it looks good to me. I don't know what colors I'm going to paint this kit. Gold seems pretty appropriate, but I also like that orange I used before. But regardless, it's a very cool looking mobile suit, and comes out February for the high grade as well as the 1-100. I'll probably just skip right to the 1-100, get that, and see what that's all about. I'm pretty sure it's a kit that I'm super familiar with, or we all should be familiar with at this point. But nevertheless, looks like fun stuff. Alright, so this week I didn't really pick up too many things. I picked up 2 Lego sets. The first one is this. This is the Nexo Knights, the King's Mech. Now, when the Nexo Knights released, I believe last year, I was super sold on the idea because I thought, I love Knights, right? I love the original castle theme of Lego, but these are more modernized or futuristic Knights, we'll say. And they were fighting these demonic clown people, and I just, you know, it's a really crazy idea that I super fell in love with, and I thought it was really cool. And you have the king, and he's got a giant robot. What's there not to like about this set? Unfortunately, it also the line came out at a time when I was all in on Lego Star Wars for The Force Awakens, and I just didn't have any room in my budget to get these. But they finally went on clearance now. So this set here, I believe it retails for around $45 Canadian. I saw it for 20 bucks. But when I got to the register, it was 10, so that was awesome, and I had to pick it up. But of course, if you have a king, you need a castle. So I had to pick up the Fortrex. And this is, of course, the Nexo Knights castle. It's a castle that turns into a mobile tank, I suppose, or a mobile armor. So it's a tank castle, hence Fortrex. And it looks incredible. I can't wait to build this. It's going to be large and huge. I love how it comes with a Chef Eclair. That's really neat. And the minifigs are definitely neat too. But yeah, it's just Next to Ice to me is just one of those, it's all about the idea and just the imagination that happens with Lego, and I'm just sold on the concept. On to the feedback portion of the show, and I have picked out 6 comments that seem to cover a wide variety of topics, so let's get into it. First one's up from Max, and he asks, what do I think of the IBO line with respect to the designs? A bit of a broad question. I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. If you're asking me, what do I think of the model kits compared to what they look like on the anime, I would say they look pretty good. But then, for Gundam, that's never really been a problem. Generally, the model kits are pretty accurate to the designs with a couple, small tweaks here and there, but it's not an overly bad thing. If you're asking me what do I think of the designs as a whole, I would say that Gundam IBO, or Iron Blooded Orphans, has my favorite mecha designs across all of Gundam. All of Gundam. Yeah, and I'm pretty confident with that. I don't think there's another Gundam series that, from Grunt Suit to Hero Suit, has designs that I like more. That's just it. Lorenzo wants to know if I would consider doing more group build videos like the ones I did with my friends back in the summer. I would like to, that would be fun. Thing is, I don't exactly know why you would want to see more of these, because Lorenzo wasn't the only one who asks this. Every now and then I get a comment asking me if I'm going to do more group builds, and I don't entirely know what was so appealing about the video, because for starters, the whole video wasn't even a group build, it's about some other stuff. It was just a segment inside of a vlog. Second thing, most of the group build was just time-lapsed, so you didn't really hear me talk about, or the group talk about anything regarding the build. You didn't get any tips, you got nothing. All you really saw was the boxes and then one completed kit and the other 2 half completed. So I'm not entirely sure what the appeal is. As for my friends, it's gonna be tough to get them to do another one of those, because a little backstory, the kits that they have built in that video, they actually bought a year prior to that. So if you think about it, we went to Japan, to Gundam Front Tokyo. I convinced them to buy those kits as a souvenir, and then we would build them when we got back home. Well, they just collected dust for a year, and they had no interest in building it until that video, so yeah. If it takes them that long from buying a kit to building it, I mean, it's gonna be a while before we do another group build. Rudy Loves Ray wants to know if I like scaled figures or not. I think scaled figures are cool, and by scaled figures, I'm assuming you mean like statues, like, 1/9 scale statue. They're fine. They just don't fit what I like about toys. The reason I'm into this hobby is because, for me, it's all about the engineering of a toy. How a toy works, what are its play features and gimmicks. For example, I buy a Transformer, I want to know, it's not about version A or form B, it's about the part in the middle, like how does it go from here to here? Whether Gundam kit or Lego, how is it the build? Like when you're building it, that's my favorite part. I don't like painting, I don't really like the posing, I like the building. That's the part that's the most fun for me. And it's the part where you are actually interacting, because at my age, I don't really play with my toys anymore. I mean, I've tried to, but it's just not the same when you're a kid and you have limitless imagination. When you're older, it's a bit not as fun. So the most playing I can do is when I have to interact with the toy through the building method or the transforming aspect. So for me, that's why I like toys. But going back to your question about scaled figures, you don't do anything with them except you buy them and you put them in a display and then you stare at them. And that's all well and good, but it's just not something I'm super into. That said, there are times when, let's say, I'm watching an anime or reading a manga or whatnot, and there's a character I really like, and I want to have some sort of representation of that, but said character is not necessarily well suited to an action figure type of product, and in that sense, I would go get a scale figure. A good example would be the Valkyrie girls from Macross Delta. I love those girls, but they're just singing idol chicks, and you don't really need an action figure, and and idol girls generally look best in a very elaborate pose, with their clothes doing all sort of, graceful movements and whatnot, things you can't get in an action figure, and in that sense, well suited to a scaled figure. So for sure, scaled figures, not necessarily things I like, but I can totally see a time and a place for it. Rudy Loves Ray wants to know what I think about third-party Transformers, such as the MPP-10 from Weijiang, and would I consider buying one or not because of it being third-party. I've always liked third-party Transformers. It's a bit of a gray zone, though. You know, people's opinions on what third-party Transformers are and what constitutes as a KO, definitely a gray zone, and I'm not gonna really get into that here. All I'll say is that I like third-party Transformers. I especially like the ones that aren't directly trying to ape on something that was official. By that I mean, the Weijiang stuff, very cool pieces of toy. They feel real high quality, but at the end of the day, they're oversized knockoff figures, and it's hard for me to just really support that. Because, you know, if you love something, or if you really like for me, if I like something, I want to do my best to support it. Whether that means buying the Blu-ray to an anime, or buying the toy on the shelf and not reverting to the KO, even though it is the superior product, because I want to see the things I love succeed. That's just who I am. I will say, I do own the Weijiang stuff, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Bear that in mind. But yeah, I definitely am into the third-party Transformers scene, not as much as most, but you know, I definitely I can see the appeal. My favorite stuff are the things that don't directly relate to what the official Transformers company Hasbro is doing. So, for example, the Make Toys Cross Dimension series, I'm really into that. You know that it's not directly trying to be a Transformers thing, but at the same time, it is definitely Transformers. But yeah, so again, long story short, I like third-party Transformers, but of course, I do have my own sort of very picky moral code with them. Ricardo wants to know if I'll be mentioning any sweet deals on models that you may come across. No, sorry, it's just not something I'm really into. That deal hopping is a lot of work. Just looking for good deals or good prices, it's a big time thing just to scour the internet for that kind of stuff. At the same time, I'm not really good at being timely with things, so by the time this video is going on the air, who knows how long ago I actually filmed it. So yeah, sorry, just not won't be able to do that. And the last comment is, again, a very popular one. Will I be doing a collection video? Probably not. Truth is, I don't really have an easy way of showing you my entire collection because, first of all, most of it's boxed up, and what I do have displayed isn't all in a central display. I have a couple shelves and details that are scattered around, and they don't make for like a good display video. It's just, oh, here in the corner of this room is that, here in the corner of that room is this, and yeah, I mean, a collection video is not something I'm super interested in doing, just because if I made one, all I would be showing you is what I'm currently into at the time. What is the flavor of the month? And you wouldn't get a real, I suppose, idea of the type of collector I am. So that's the only reason I don't do one right now. Hopefully one day when I have a room that's purely dedicated and I can show off everything, then maybe then. But for the foreseeable future, not right now. Alright, well that was it for this week's episode of the V3 Show, or Off the Shelf, or TV3, whatever you guys choose. Hopefully you guys are unanimous in a decision. Again, leave all your questions or feedback in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to get to it next week. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. See you later.